Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. On behalf of the City of White Plains, I would like to welcome and thank you for joining us today as we honor our fellow countrymen, both men and women, who made the ultimate sacrifice in defending our country so that we could be here today. Memorial Day is a federal holiday that originated from the American Civil War to honor the Union and Confederate Day. Over the years, this occasion has extended to recognize all Americans who sacrificed their life during military conflict. Let us vow to never forget the sacrifices they have made for the freedoms we enjoy. I'd like to give a special welcome and acknowledge any military personnel who have joined us today. Thank you for your service. Ladies and gentlemen, all those who are able, please rise for the presentation of our national colors.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rent the land, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Robert.
Please recite with me the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Detail. Order up. Detail. Right. Please. Detail. Forward. March.
You may be seated. I'd now like to bring Kevin Fisher up for the invocation. Good morning. Heavenly Father, as we remember those who have served this country, and especially those who have given their lives in hopes of establishing a just peace, may their great hearts inspire us to live well. May their many sacrifices
humble the pride of both the weak and the powerful, remind us that war is neither gain nor glory, but suffering and loss. And in light of that memory, may we work for peace. Amen.
Today, we are honoring two people who have worked with me personally, and I've known them for many years, but they were extremely active in our community and advocates of veterans, Malcolm Baehr and Jack Collins. John Jack Collins was a lifelong resident of White Plains. Upon graduating from White Plains High School, he enlisted in the U.S. Marines during peacetime from 1957 to 1961. He was a corporal in the U.S. Marine Corps, training at Paradise Island, and was stationed in Cuba. After his service, he worked as an NYPD officer from 62 to 83, walking the beat and receiving numerous accolades for his service on the force. For over 29 years, he was a very dedicated and active member of the American Legion Post Number 135. He held past American Legion offices as trustee, vice commander, and commander. Jack represented the American Legion Post Number 135 on the Mayor's Veteran Committee and was a past City of White Plains Memorial Day Grand Marshal. Malcolm Baehr served in the United States Navy during World War II, the Korean War, and with the Naval Reserve. During the Korean War, he served on the aircraft carrier Oriskany and Tarawa, and at naval air stations in Texas, Virginia, and Florida. During his service, he was a first-class aviation storekeeper and was involved in the operations for the Berlin airlift. For the last 46 years, Malcolm worked hard for veteran affairs and patriotic events in White Plains. Malcolm served as commander, chaplain, and quartermaster for the White Plains Jewish War Veterans Post 191. He represented the Jewish War Veterans Post on the Mayor's Veteran Committee and a past City of White Plains Memorial Day Parade Grand Marshal. I will now read to you the list, a partial list, and then I'll be joined by Patrick Stanton from the Boy Scout Troop Number 73 and Dan Griffin, commander of the White Plains American Legion. The list of deceased military from May 2019 to May 2021. Anthony Alfaro, Army. Thor H. Anderson, Navy. Dominic A. Andresi, Army. Giacomino Jack Armiento, Army. John Jack Bambase, Army. James A. Borrego. Dominic Barzalato, Army. Herbert Berman, Army. John Bostonian Jr., Army. Joseph A. Branch, Army. Jack J. Brennan, Navy. Carmelo Bergio, Army. Thomas Caffrey, Marines. Daniel Calabrese, Army. Rocco Calderolo, Navy. Rocco Campanelli, Army. Wayman Cook, Army. Vincenzo Caridi, Army. Joseph Cassadell, Army. Dominic Casarello, Marines. Rudolph Cherico, Army. Pasquale Sierra, Navy. Emmanuel Cohn, Army. Saul Cohn, Navy. Spirios Kanamos, Army. William Billy Cook, unknown. Anthony Cordelli, Navy. Dean Couch, Navy. Richard Charles Kramer, Army. Alan Davis III, Marines. Charles D'Amico, Army. John J. Dinnery, Army. Luis Antonio Diaz, Navy. Marie Dildine, Marines. Peter Ernst Dittmer, Army. John G. Doyle, Army. Donald Fresnay, Army. Selig Eisenberg, Navy. Martin Ellenberg, Army. Julius Ellman, Army. Gilbert Esquivel, Army. Vincent Fazio, National Guard. Isidore Robert Felsham, Army. Samuel Fern, Navy. Kevin Dennis Fleischer, Air Force. James Vito Formica, Army. Daniel Gavin, Army. Raymond Ralph Gentile. Saul C. Jurgensen, Army. Eugene Gary, Navy. I'd like to invite up Patrick Stanton from the Boy Scout Troop Numbers Committee 3.
Peter Gizanti, Army. Michael James Rubino, Marines. Michael N. Grease, Air Force. Murray Gottsfeld, Army. Larry Darnell Green, Army. Robert S. Kredinsky, Navy. Anthony R. Guglielmo, Army. Robert Henry Hayden, Army. Robert Darrell Keller, Army. Leonard Noel Henry, British military. Jack Kurtz, unknown. Nathaniel Hester Sr., Army. Frederick Carl Hoffman, Army. George F. Cody, Army. Arthur Isber, Army. Edward Johnson, Air Force. Edward R. Jones, Army. Robert W. Joyce, Army. Herman L. Krause, Air Force. Marvin Neck, Army. Santo R. Logano, Army. Daniel Elliott Latham, Army. Joseph Lamatino, Navy. Monty K. Lambert, Marine. Frank J. Landy, Navy. Robert E. Langelius, Army. Thomas Parker Lewis, Army. Richard Leibson, Army. James P. Lowe, Army. David A. Marinelli, Air Force. Robert J. Martin, Army. Frank Anthony Marciello, Army. Raymond L. Mussolini, Army. Lawrence McCann, Army. James K. McCauley, Army. Edward C. McKeon, Army. Harold Mercer, Army. Frank Anthony Mondelli, Army. Charles H. Miller, Army. Alphonse N. Niclario, Army. Felix Napolitano, Army. Timothy M. Holden, Army. Frank Orthe, Marines. William L. Lopado, Army. Michael C. Parolini, Army. Lester A. Petretti, Army. Antonio Petrozellis, Army. Thaddeus J. Pietos, Army Air Corps. Ronald H. Pilger, Navy. Michael James Pisani, Jr., Army.
I'd like to bring up Commander of the White Plains American Legion, Dan Griffin.
Gunther Gould, Marine, Marines. Daniel John Bordogona, Marines. David T. Powell, Army. Albert Rickey, Air Force. Robert Riddick, Army. Stanley E. Robinson, Navy. Angelo Rosado Jr., Navy. Stanley A. Rubenstein, Marines. Arthur W. Russo, Army. Antonio D. Sanchez, Navy. Carl Sandberg, Army. Richard J. Sickley, Army. Erwin Schlossenberg, Army. Edward A. Spandaneria, Marines. Salvador J. Sciallo, Army. Stanley Seidman, Army. Jerome Solomon, Army. Robert J. Stahl, Army. Robert T. Stevens, Army. James M. Stewart, Navy. Raymond J. Stockton, Navy. Stanley Stockton, Army. Gilbert Sussman, Navy. Guy A. Tillman, Army. Edmund J. Tierney, Marines. Seymour Coffey, Army. John J. Tracy, Marines. Rocco Triano, Army. Kenneth B. Valdo, Army. Anthony N. Verano, Navy. Irving Wagner, Air Force. John Jack Wolf, Army. Fred Weber, Army. Paul M. Weidman, Army. George Harrison Whitmore, Navy. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Charles Wiggins, Jr., Army. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Barbara E. Wiggins, Army. Leroy S. Wyatt, Army. Anthony J. Zanzueli, Air Force and National Guard. And the following are American Legion members who passed away in the last 2 years. Unfortunately, we were unable to go to their wakes and funerals because of COVID-19. And they are the following: Robert Brannigan, Navy. Joseph E. Clark, Navy. John B. Collins, Marines. Joseph Delanoy, Navy. Robert DeMarco, Army. Robert J. Donnelly, Marines. Richard Douglas, Navy. Stuart Douglas, Army. Robert R. Gibson, Navy. John J. Kelly, Army. Joseph A. Latarulo, Army. William E. Bigman, Marines. And James E. Rice, Marines. With the rest in peace.
I'd like to bring up Kevin Fisher, the Westchester County Iraq Afghanistan soldiers.
I will now read names of service members who were killed in action since 9/11 from Westchester County. Private First Class Michael Arcolia, Huntsford, New York. Chief Warrant Officer David Ayala, New Rochelle, New York. Staff Sergeant Q. Hai Chai, Chappaqua, New York. Private First Class Kevin Coney, North White Plains, New York. Captain Philip Esposito, Suffern, New York. Specialist David Fahy Jr., Yorktown, New York. Sergeant Edward Frank II, Yonkers, New York. Specialist Justin Garcia, Valley Cottage, New York. Sergeant Merlin German, Greenberg, New York. Corporal Bernard Gooden, Mount Vernon, New York. Staff Sergeant Courtney Hollinsworth, Yonkers, New York. Private First Class Gifford Hurt, Yonkers, New York. Captain Eric Jones, Pound Ridge, New York. Sergeant Anthony Calladine, Yonkers, New York. Staff Sergeant Anthony Lagman, Yonkers, New York. Technical Sergeant Joseph Lem, West Harrison, New York. Captain Manuel Lopez III, Haverstraw, New York. Lance Corporal John Malone, Mayapack, New York. Major John Pryor, Mount Vernon, New York. Lance Corporal Efren Sanchez Jr., Portchester, New York. Corporal Steve Valhavalos, Airmont, New York. Private First Class Robert White III, Eastfield, New York.
I'd like to introduce Mayor Tom Roach, who will be presenting our guest speaker for the day.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. We have a wonderful turnout. I'm pleased to see, and it has actually stopped raining, which is nice. Memorial Day is always an important day for all of us.
Mayor Roach, Commissioner Bass, ladies and gentlemen, active and reserve military members, veterans and retirees, thank you for joining us in this remembrance. I would like to thank the City of White Plains for inviting me to speak to you this morning. We gather here today with a shared attitude of gratitude. Memorial Day is a day of national awareness and solemn reverence, a day for us to honor the military men and women who gave their lives in defense of our nation its values, our freedoms, and our liberties. The first Memorial Day type commemoration was started by former slaves on May 1st, 1867 in Charleston, South Carolina, to honor 257 dead Union soldiers who had been buried in a mass grave in a Confederate prison camp. They dug up the bodies and worked for 2 weeks to give them a proper burial as gratitude for fighting for their freedom. They then held a parade of 10,000 people, led by 2,800 Black children, where they marched, sang, and celebrated. 3 years later, on May 5th, 1868, Major General John A. Logan, Commander-in-Chief, Grand Army of the Republic, proclaimed May 30th as Decoration Day, a day to commemorate the sacrifices of the Civil War soldiers and a day to honor the nation's Civil War dead. Families of the fallen soldiers would typically remember their loved ones by decorating grave sites with flowers or flags. We still do that today across America. In fact, the soldiers from the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard, place small American flags at every grave marker in Arlington National Cemetery each and every Memorial Day. Uniform Monday Holiday Act moved Memorial Day from May 30th to the last Monday in May. The law took effect in 1971 at the federal level, and in 2000, Congress established the National Moment of Remembrance on Memorial Day. The service members we honor today came from all walks of life, but they shared several fundamental qualities. They possessed courage, pride, determination, selflessness, dedication to duty, and integrity, all the qualities needed to serve a cause larger than oneself. Many of them didn't ask to leave their homes to fight on distant battlefields. Many didn't even volunteer. They didn't go to war because they loved fighting. They were called to be part of something bigger than themselves. They were ordinary people who responded in extraordinary ways in extreme times. They rose to the nation's call because they wanted to protect the nation, which has given them, us, so much. Your presence here today, and that of people gathering all across America, is a tribute to those lost military members and to their families. It is a way to say, we remember, from the soldiers who shivered and starved through the winter at Valley Forge, to the doughboys who crouched in muddy trenches of France, to the platoon who patrolled the hazy jungles of Vietnam, and the young men and women who patrolled the mountains of Afghanistan. We remember and honor them all. The loss of these brave men and women throughout our nation's history is felt as deeply in our military as they are in families and communities across this great nation. Each of the patriots whom we remember on this day was first a beloved son, daughter, a brother or sister, or a spouse, friend, and neighbor. If you belong to a family that has lost a service member, what we call a Gold Star family, Memorial Day is very personal to you. To you and your family, I would like to say thank you. You honor us with your presence. We know we lack the words to do justice to what you feel on this day. We can never fully know, but we do know what your sacrifice means to us, to this nation, and to a world that still depends so much on American men and women in uniform for its security. If you have ever known one of the fallen, you have known greatness, but it is hard to be content with their sacrifice, for we miss them. The empty chair on a holiday, empty every day. The photograph that goes wherever you do. The picture fades, but the person in it does not. These men and women never got a chance to grow old, but their steadfast patriotism will always be our guide to teach us that loss has meaning if it occurs out of the desire of freedom, peace, justice, and love for others. They say security is like oxygen. If you have it, you don't think about it. But if you don't have it, that's all you can think of. The patriots remembered today across the country provided that security. They knew they were doing the noblest of things, providing security so that Americans can get up in the morning, dress their kids, kiss them off to school, go to work, dream their dreams, and live lives that are full. They knew it meant that for all its variety, America is one in support for them, And they knew that not one of them, not one ever, will be left behind, that every effort will be made to bring them home, no matter how long it takes. As I look up to God and say a prayer to these brave men and women, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the value of the American flag, the symbol under which we serve. It is the emblem of our unity, our power, our thought, and our purpose as a nation. It has no other character than that which we give it from generation to generation. It floats in majestic silence, whether in peace or in war. And yet, through the silence, it speaks to us of the past and the men and women who went before us and all of the records they wrote upon it. In less than a week, on June 6th, we will commemorate the 77th anniversary of D-Day. And as we mark that milestone, and as we gather on this Memorial Day, we are again reminded of the true cost of war. On that day in 1944, more than 160,000 Allied troops landed along a 50-mile stretch of heavily fortified French coastline to fight Nazi Germany on the beaches of Normandy. As troops began heading toward the French coast on that historic day, General Dwight D. Eisenhower pledged that we will accept nothing less than full victory. More than 5,000 ships and 13,000 aircraft supported the D-Day invasion. By day's end, the Allies gained a foothold in continental Europe. The cost in lives on D-Day was high. More than 9,000 Allied soldiers were killed or wounded, but their sacrifice allowed more than 100,000 soldiers to begin the slow, hard slog across Europe to defeat Adolf Hitler's Third Reich. Those Allied soldiers on Normandy beaches embodied military values such as loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Those same values are ingrained in today's service members, our sailors, our soldiers, our airmen, our Marines, our Coast Guardsmen, and National Guardmen, active duty and reserve. And while I ask you to continue to support our military and recognize those specific members on Veterans Day, Monday, November 11th, I strongly ask you to focus today on those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, for this is their day to be recognized and remembered. Thank you again for letting me speak to you today, and may God continue to bless and watch over our military members, our police, firefighters, and emergency medical technicians, our community, and may God bless America.
The other day I chanced to meet a bugle friend of mine. He'd been in camp for several weeks and he was looking fine. His muscles had developed and his cheeks were rosy red. I asked him how he liked the life and this is what he said. What did he say? Oh, how I hate to get up in the morning. Oh, how I'd love to remain in bed. For the hardest blow of all is to hear the bugle call. You've got to get up, you've got to get up, you've got to get up this morning. Someday I'm going to murder the bugler. Someday they're going to find him dead. I'll amputate his reveille, then step upon it heavily, then spend the rest of my life in bed. A bugler in the army is the luckiest of men. He wakes the boys at 5 and then goes back to bed again. He doesn't have to blow again until the afternoon. If everything goes well with me, I'll be a bugler soon. Everybody, oh, how I hate to get up in the morning. Oh, how I'd love to remain in bed. For the hardest blow of all is to hear the bugle call. You've got to get up, you've got to get up, you've got to get up this morning. Oh boy, the minute the battle is over. Oh boy, the minute the foe is dead. I'll put my uniform away, then move to feet and hellfire, then spend the rest of my life in bed. But first I'll find that other pup, the guy who wakes the bugler and spend the rest of my life in bed. Thank you very much, and good morning from Squeaky Clean, Addison, Suzanne, and myself, Glenn. A week or two ago, we were in the Columbia River Gorge Valley and saw some beautiful country out there. And the great Woody Guthrie was hired by the federal government to write some songs about that part of the country, and it was very thrilling to see what inspired him. But why don't we do a song that we all know how to sing? This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me the endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. I've roamed and I rambled, and I followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me your voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking that freedom highway. Nobody living gonna make me turn back, 'cause this land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made, one more time. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest